Today there's going to be another release of a community replica project pack. It's going to be the Latewar Soviet pack. But before we get into that one, because it's kind of small, I want to talk a little bit about some upcoming updates for the already existing packs, which are going to be those others going to be releasing kind of far down the line. But I want you guys just kind of view the progress and some of the new vehicles that are being added to the packs. So one of the biggest ones, of course, that people were missing was the mouse. You know, the biggest tank ever built, heaviest tank ever built. Yeah, here it is. It is being made by Vidar. Yeah, the same creator as of the Tiger 2 and some of the other vehicles in the Latewar Germany pack. And it will be reinforcing the lineup of that pack in the future. But we also got some stuff in the post-war pack coming as well, which actually might be split into a post-war, Cold War pack and a modern era pack. And among those, we got this tiny little boy, the Panzer 1C, the light tank, as well as an Astor V103-0 prototype Astor V model. Again, both of them coming in future updates of each pack. They're not yet available. But with that, we're going to actually go into the meat and potato of this one. It's going to be the Latewar Soviet pack, which currently contains 8 vehicles. So, we've got a bunch of IS-2 models here to start out with. So this is the model 1944 with the completely sloped frontal plate. And just like the other one, it's going to be mounting the 122mm gun. And this one is being made by Dalsha. And it's a fast girl. Very fast girl. Sadly, this one has not been gifted by completely rounded magic, like round armor magic. Sometimes it's just too much to ask on certain tanks to make them completely go insane with that. But it does have the add-on panels on the turret. And it does have a somewhat rounded front of the whole turret. Which is, better than what you would expect on a build as difficult to make as an IS-2. So that is the model of 1944, but we also have the regular old IS-2, which has a simpler turret and the flat front face on the hull. And it still works the exact same way and all of it, pretty much everything else. Like, most of the hull is still the same, but it is at the same time it's very much different. This one has been made by GOD-10. 2 different creators, 2 very different models of IS-2. And yeah, those are going to be bolstering the heavy tank lineups for those who are interested in this stuff. And with that, we're going to move on to some tank destroyers before heading over to the more iconic tanks. So here is an IS-2 122. So this is an 122mm tank destroyer, but built on the IS chassis, or well, the IS-1 chassis, as far as I'm aware. And yeah, it was mostly made as a tank bunker buster and some kind of tank destroyer. And it definitely has a very powerful gun, very similar to that of the IS-2 models, but of course it is on the earlier IS-1 chassis. Moving on, we got the Eshu 100, which is a 100mm gun mount on a T-24 chassis. This one has been made by Excalibur 117, created you guys might remember from the post-war pack, where he did a lot of contributions as well. So, very mobile vehicle, made to mount the very powerful 100mm gun, which replaced the 85mm gun on the T-44 as well, and they even tried to make a prototype on the T-34 on it, but because of the turret not really just fitting a gun like this, they ended up just kind of scrapping that idea. But in the meanwhile, they did make this stopgap kind of like thingy here as a tank destroyer to mount that very powerful gun. Very mobile for what it is. Very simple crew design with clutch braking, just like the T-40 had in real life. So it is not as it is speedy. It's not as agile as you might want with a tank destroyer. but that certainly does not subtract from its capabilities too much, because this one is probably going to be rivaling a Yacht Panther in actual power output. Even though its armor is weaker, its gun is better. Moving on to the prototype we mentioned, the T-34-100, with the same very long 100mm gun. This one is made by Mir, just like all of the other T-34s. And as such, all of the T-34s are very similar in hull and have a very nice, just uniform size. And this one was the most upgunned version during World War II. Only prototype was built, kind of ditched, scrapped, because it wasn't quite up to par, as the gun was simply too big to be contained in a turret as small as this one. But we do also have the T-34-85, which was the mainstay of the Soviet army in the late parts of World War II. And yeah, it is very mobile, the gun was very good, and yeah, it solved a lot of the problems of the earlier 76 T-34s, and this one can actually easily rival the Sherman 76mm in terms of overall use case, and it was also used after the war ended quite a lot. And there were also modifications made on this model as well. We do have the T-34-85M, which is a slightly up-armored version with different armor values in the hull. You can see a 75mm original frontal armor, where the older design would have like 40mm in the front hull instead. So yeah, this one is definitely more well protected, definitely more powerful, but it's also more heavy, which does make it a bit slower than it was before. Alright, still T-34-85, so the score is going to be very similar. But we do have a T-44 as well. So the T-44 was just barely entering service at the end of World War II, and unlike the IS-3, was actually like deployed. So as such, the T-44 is being added to the Latewar Soviet pack, while the IS-3 ended up being in the post-war pack alongside the T-44-100. This one, of course, has the 85mm gun, just like the T-34-85, but it has a much better hull design. They straightened out the size of the hull to counteract the loss in volume from the slanted sides, but they kept the front hull's slope, because of course that is where the main shots are coming from, and that's where the protection is coming from. So this one you definitely notice is a more powerful tank than the T-34. It's pretty much a direct upgrade in every way, except for the raw firepower, as that one of course has stayed the same. Well, that's actually all there is to this pack. The earlier T-34s are all in the mid-war or even the early war pack in terms of prototypes. So there's not too much variation here just yet. I do hope to update this pack to contain more vehicles in the future. Definitely more like tank destroyer models and that kind of stuff. But for now, this is going to be what this pack is going to be about. So that said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, the install is going to be down in the description. And it's going to be direct link to the zip file. And if you want to know how to actually install it, make sure to check out the first pack release video, the Latewar Germany pack. The full tutorial on how to install these is in that video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Catch you guys all in the next one.